going to do a little project today where we take some paper and we make paper out of the paper. This was a much better idea before I said it out loud. Now that I say it, I'm having second thoughts. Okay, well, I've done it. Let's just go with it. What we're going to do is use some paper napkin liners to make a sturdier paper that you can actually work on. I got this idea the other day when I posted the video about the, which one was it? Pimp My 5-Petal Flowers, that one. Because in the video I had used some glitter glue and some little micro bead things that I'd had for years and hadn't been using. And several people made comments about how it was good to see a demonstration of using your stash, you know. Because, you know, we all hoard stuff, and one thing that probably most of us hoard is paper napkins, right? If you don't hoard paper napkins, yay for you. I can't relate to you at all, but that's okay. People like you are okay too. People like me hoard our napkins, and this is probably a very small hoard compared to what some of you have, which is fine. I'm not here to judge. You know, like I always say, if you can store it neatly, then go ahead. You know, if it starts taking over your life, then you got a problem. This is not taking over my life just yet, so I'm okay with it. But I'm not really using them, and I'm not going to use them today either. But I am going to use the liners because, you know, most of the time, I'd say 99% of the time, we end up peeling the backing off of these napkins, right? Because we're going to collage with them, and we just want the top layer. So we've got all of these bottom layers saved up because, you know, they're paper and we can't really throw them out. But what do we do with them? Okay, a lot of times I just stamp images on them because they're great to collage a stamped image because it's kind of like a tissue paper. It sort of disappears when you glue it down. So I do that, but good grief, I don't need that many pages full of stamped images, right? So I decided I'd try to do something with the paper itself to make it sturdier so that I could use it. And I just came up with just gluing layers together. And it took a while to figure out exactly how many to glue together. At first I thought, I'll sew them together. That'll be cool. And I know you probably can't see it because there's white thread on white paper. This is a beast. Okay, first of all, it took a ton of thread to sew all over and, you know, get these firmly attached enough to be workable. Now, how I would work this, I don't know. This was just, you know, step one. But this was not easy because it's hard to not, you know, get them all pinched up like that because you have to kind of hold the layers together as you're guiding it under your machine. So anyway, okay, yeah, this worked, but it's a whole lot of trouble and not something I would do on a regular basis. This is a little bit of trouble, what we're going to do. Not really trouble, but it's not quick and easy. It's a rainy Sunday afternoon project because you're going to need a couple of hours, but it'll be worth it. I started by just taking different numbers of napkin layers and gluing them together to try to find exactly how many layers is the right number of layers. Plus, what do I use to glue them on and how do I dry them so that they're not permanently bonded to whatever I stuck them to. I found that wax paper is not a good idea. Deli wrap is not a good idea because I have permanently bonded some on the back of some of these because it didn't come off when they were dry. What I did find that worked is parchment paper, just grocery store, dollar store parchment paper you get over there in the roll. They have it like with the foil and plastic wrap and stuff. That's what I'm using. And the number of layers, I have got everything from 12 to 4, and I found that the good number to have is 4. Yes. Yes, 4. Okay, I was trying to remember. Yeah, that one was too skinny. And then most of these were too stiff. So 4 was a good number to have. And what I did after I got through layering them, I'll show you how to layer them, is once they were dry, I ironed them out to make them a little bit smoother, and then just sewed a stack of them together right down the middle. I did just a straight stitch down the middle, so you've got a quick, easy, little instant freeform, frou-frou book to play with or whatever. I don't know exactly what I'm going to use my book for, but it is, you can collage and glue in it without any problem at all. And I did test some different ways to color on it, and what I found is really the only thing that gave me problem was watercolor. Right here, twinkling H2Os. They bled out pretty bad. So I would still use watercolors on here, but I would definitely keep them in the background. I wouldn't try to do any detail work with them. But for detail work, for other things, this one here, I'll give you a close-up of these at the end. This is Prismacolor pencils. Actually worked great. I blended them with Gamsol odorless mineral spirits. And it worked. This in the corner over here was surprising. It's Sharpies. Sharpies worked great. I even got them almost kind of to blend. You know, you can blend Sharpies on paper like that. You kind of can here. It almost blended. This one is regular acrylic craft paint, which did beautifully. And then this one even did well. These are my big brush Pitt pen markers, Faber-Castell big brush markers. And all of them did great. And as far as bleed through goes, you know, the Sharpies, and I had a lot of Sharpie on there. I mean, I was layering and blending, and it started trying to bleed through, but it didn't get all the way through, because I worked just like this to see what was going to bleed through. Nothing else bled through or gave me any problems except the watercolors, the twinkling H2Os, are what I use. They did bleed through. I got a little bit right there. That could be because this was so close to the edge, and sometimes my edges don't line up, so I maybe didn't have all 4 layers, or it could just be that they soaked through. So overall, I was very pleased with how this paper accepts all this different media. It did very well. So you can use this as an art journal, basically. So what I'm trying to say, that was the whole point of this. You can art journal in this, as long as you remember that watercolors might bleed out a little bit, so keep those in the background. So there is that. Now, how do we do this? You start with a napkin, a paper napkin of any kind, and then you want to separate it. I use the, I think it was the Lori Richardson Haley method. Do like that, and it just pulls the layers apart. Sometimes there's more than one layer. There you go. Easy, right? Lick and stick. Okay, pull these apart. And then put this back in your napkin storage box, which is going to hold a lot more napkins once you get all these liners peeled off. So you can hoard more in less space. Okay, now what I did on these, I actually, this is just great to do sitting in front of the TV because I don't have to think about it. But I cut them in half, and you can cut or you can tear, it doesn't matter. Like that. And then separate the 2 sections. Now I know you're probably thinking, okay, you said you're going to do 4 layers. That napkin all in one piece like it was 4 layers. Why didn't you just fold it back over and use it that way? Okay, the reason is because when you fold it, and when you do this and you fold it, it tends to make more bubbles than it does if you layer individual sheets. That's why I cut them apart and separate them like this. It just kind of helps to reduce the bubbles. Bubbles and wrinkles are part of it, you know, because it's one of those things. But that just makes it a little bit easier, FYI. Now, to glue them together, you're going to use some white glue or Elmer's or PVA, whatever it's called where you live, mixed about half and half with water. So you're just going to dilute some white glue. This does not make Mod Podge. Oh my gosh, if you don't learn anything else on my channel, please walk away from here today knowing that watered down Elmer's glue does not magically turn into Mod Podge. I've said it before, and I need to keep saying it because it keeps coming back up. Mod Podge has a sealer in it. It has varnish. It seals and protects your work. PVA does not. Adding water to it will not instantly, magically create varnish. So, okay, don't believe everything you read on the internet. But it does make a pretty darn good collage glue. Just a regular collage glue. So, yeah, I mean, it has value. Go ahead, do it, use it, whatever. Just don't call it Mod Podge. It's not. It ain't right. Okay. This is a piece of parchment paper from the grocery store. I usually just spray it down, really for no other reason than to hold on to the little paper and to help them kind of sit still and stack nicely on top of each other. Okay. Got two pieces down. Now I'm going to take my watered down white glue and pour a fairly generous amount on there. And then I just use a wet brush. This is just my glue brush. You can use a sponge brush. It happens when or if this does happen to you. And I should say when it does happen, usually you can just piece it right back together. You will want to use a gentle hand when brushing your glue on to avoid tearing situations like that. And keep going. So obviously it's okay. You know, sometimes when you're pulling your napkin liner away from the napkin, you kind of tear it. It's okay. You know, just stick that piece in the middle, layer over it. It's all fine. Put 2 more layers on top. And then I put a little bit more glue. It's kind of a lot of glue, but it's watered down Elmer's. It's cheap. You know, it's going to go a long way, so don't worry about it. Just go ahead and do it. So your paper is going to be super soggy and almost kind of disgusting, and that's fine. Just make sure it's all glued. And I usually pull off a piece of parchment big enough to do 2 at a time, and these will fit in my oven just right. These are going to take forever and a day to dry. And in the summertime, you know, 3 minutes outside, they would be dry. Wouldn't be a problem. This time of year, not so much. So, I'm using my oven, which I know really freaks some of y'all out, especially because I have a gas oven, but it's okay. I put it on my lowest setting, which for my oven is 170, and then I lay these in there. I lay the parchment paper just directly down on the oven rack and leave it for 10-15 minutes. Sometimes I'll leave the oven door cracked, you know, if I'm worried that something's going to burst into flames, but you know what, at 170, it's not likely. And they're not touching the heating element, so it's all good. But, that is how I'm drying these. Like I said, in the summer, I'd probably just put them outside. But that's not happening right now. I don't know how much glue I'm putting on here. I would say probably 3 to 4 tablespoons at least each time. Okay. Now, they're very wet and soggy. And, ooh, I can see can you see the holes right there? Yeah, that's going to be fine. It'll just add some interest to the final product. You know what, I may put one more over the top just to make sure those holes have something over them. I'm not even going to add more glue. There should be enough on there. And this page might be a little bit stiffer than some of the others. That's okay. I'll use it for the cover of the book instead of pages. But anything more than this, it's going to get too stiff and be not fun to work with. Okay, these are ready to go in the oven. I'm going to stick them in my oven and then make a couple more sheets and just kind of keep rotating them. You know, while these are cooking, I'll make some more, switch them out, make some more, and just kind of keep it going. And if you do that for a couple hours, you'll have enough to make 2 or 3 books like this. So, let's go bake this sucker. Okay, there's my paper in the oven, and I do put them on the bottom rack as well, and they do fine. So it's going to wrinkle up like crazy because that parchment paper is wet too. But that's okay because I've got my iron plugged in, and when they're done we can just iron those wrinkles right out. It's been actually about 20 minutes and I ended up putting both of them in at the same time, which kind of increases the baking time because, you know, there's one on the bottom rack. So I just want to peel them off of the parchment. Which is very easy. And let's go ahead and do these. This is, I did these off camera while the other two were baking. Ideally, I would have 2 more to pop in there. You know, it's like making cookies where you get that next batch ready. But I got distracted, so it didn't happen. Now, I've got another sheet of parchment, or you can use those ones you baked on, that I'm going to use just to iron these out so they're a little bit flatter. Just go over them really good with a warm iron. Warm being as high as it will go. I don't know what the right temperature is. Mine doesn't have a paper setting on it, so I don't know what to do. But that just smooths out those wrinkles a little bit and makes it easier to work with. That's all there is to this. From here, you know, you can take and fold them in half and stitch them down the middle like I did. You can do a, with a hand stitch, you know, like a pamphlet stitch. That would be fine. They're sturdy enough for that. And then paint or collage or make them a little junk journal or a little something, a book to keep on your art desk to clean off your paintbrush, you know, you gotta have that, right? Lots of possibilities. Plus, a great way to use up all of these little napkin liner papers that you're probably holding on to. There we have it. Fold in half, and there's your book, potentially. So, that's it. Take some flimsy paper and make it into stronger paper, and then do something fun with it. The end.